Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below, the direct service email line from you to me and my crew for purchase questions about this or any watch you see here on Watchbox Reviews. And today we are discussing the epic Jaeger-LeCoultre Memovox Tribute to Polaris Paris Boutique Edition, also known as the Tribute to Polaris 65 Paris, a timepiece 42mm in stainless steel. It recalls the first version of the original E859 Polaris diving alarm dial, as back in 1965, 500 examples of the watch that would ultimately be built in 1,714 examples were built with this dial. So 500 were built with this dial in 65. When the Tribute to Polaris came out in 2008, 768 were made in steel with the 1968 version, the definitive version of the dial. 165 were made with this Polaris 65 dial, but in platinum. Across the Atlantic, JLC gave fans what they really wanted. This watch, built in only 65 examples in stainless steel, this is the scarcer Polaris 65 dial in its rarest form, as the original Polaris of 1965. The E859 of that year was made in 500 copies, and if you want a modern swimmable Polaris, you're going to want it with the steel case rather than the platinum case, which just doesn't suit a sports watch. Now, the timepiece is impressive. As you can see, the watch, 42mm in diameter, is exactly the size of the historic version. From lug to lug, 46.9mm, 22mm between the lugs, and you can see, because of the dramatically cambered plexiglass, this 200-meter water-resistant watch is 17.1mm thick, but you can see how much of that is the plexi, which is true to the watch, correct specification, as it's what the original in 65 would have featured. And it's one of the reasons why the Polaris Tribute to Polaris 65 and 68 are considered some of the truest re-editions by any brand ever. Now, the strap is a Jaeger-LeCoultre factory piece, modern, large rectangular scale alligator leather, semi-gloss dark brown. As you can see, sheer edges, sporty fashion. You can see the rusticated cut and layers of leather with calfskin on the back. This is a brand new JLC factory strap straight out of Paris, the OEM supplier Camille Fournet. A simple 1965 inspired stainless steel pin buckle, and as you can see, the case itself is also true to history, with a squared off lug profile, a little bit of a transitional bevel on the lug shoulder, and the quadrille or quadrant cut, as you can see, on the crowns, all three of them, as you would have seen on the original Polaris 65 and Polaris 68. Now, the timepiece, otherwise all of high polish, features a case back designed to evoke the original super compressor case, which was used on many different watches, but only the Vulcain and Jaeger-LeCoultre featured special multi-crown alarm versions. Everyone in the super compressor family had at least one extra crown for the internal rotating bezel, and that's still featured. Now, you can see right here, the 65 dial is quite distinct from the 68 dial. First, you don't have the same font. Second, you don't have the same weight of font or hand fashion, as these Dauphine style hands and metal applique serve the purposes of keeping the time, hours, minutes, and a lovely polished metal counterweighted Lancet style seconds. The dial is printed exactly as it would have been in 65. Automatic alarm calendar, and the watch is all of those things. Now, you can see there's also a little bit of a camber or a domed curvature to this dial. Appreciate the fact that this watch features what would have been the European style dial at the time, signed Jaeger-LeCoultre, as all US market versions featured the LeCoultre signature. Now, the watch does feature a polished metal frame for the date, and impressively, this watch, which bowed back in 2008, was the first JLC Memovox alarm to feature a quick set date, as this was the debut platform for the next generation caliber 956 automatic movement. 23 joules, automatic winding, master 1000 hours control, attest to water resistance, winding efficiency, power reserve, and chronometric performance. The watch features both stop seconds, courtesy of its 23 joule 45 hour power reserve caliber, as well as a quick set system for its date, which is adjusted by turning the crown for the alarm set opposite the direction of the alarm setting. So clockwise sets the date, and then you can see it sets the alarm by turning counterclockwise. Fire it up, let's have a listen. It's impressive and vocal. It's got about 20 to 30 seconds of duration when fully wound, and as you can see, distinct from the tribute to Deep Sea, the subsequent dive watch reissue, this one doesn't have a frog-like croak. It has a loud, resonant, sustaining ring thanks to a separate gong that hangs inside the case, and you can see there's actually a hollow case back to better create propagating sound underneath the water, so it works both above and below. You can see the original signature of the Irvin Piquerez designed super compressor case. Originally that was the signature of the case that was used on the original Polaris, as well as many others. Now the watch is spectacular in every regard, and it is also extremely scarce. 65 pieces, making it rarer than any version of the original Polaris except for the 1963 roughly 50-piece prototype run. So if you want an absolute slam dunk future JLC classic, a collectible in its own right, and a future all-timer, the Tribute to Polaris Paris 65. See it and make it yours on the Watchbox. Tribute to Polaris, beating away at 4 hertz by night.